Not that I don't know if that helps at all, but all right.
Not at all, no.
All right. Well, cheers to me not being helpful, and we'll get this started. Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable Podcast. We are here recording episode 189, and today we are going to be talking about how to become an online teacher, what some equipment you might need if you're thinking about teaching online, and what the process looks like. Because I'm sure, like many of you, you might be in between jobs right now or looking for work. And if you are lucky and speak English fairly proficiently or as a native speaker, that alone, there's already a lot of opportunity, especially if you have any type of college degree. If you have some previous teaching experience as well, that also will help. So if you're looking for a little side hustle during these crazy times, or if you're just hoping to gain some more experience, tune in today and we will be talking about some tips and tricks for you. So my buddy with all the good questions, Jared, what's going on, Jared?
Hi, Chad. So are you telling me that teaching English online is easy as long as you know how to speak a language?
Yes and
ideally
no.
Have taught once or twice before in your life?
Yes and no. I'll give you a good old German Jein on that one, Jared.
Okay. That's what it made it. You made it seem like any old idiot could do this, that could string together a sentence.
I think any old idiot can learn how to do it, sure. But that doesn't mean right off the bat they can do it.
Well, right off the bat of this podcast,
spread a little love.
Follow us on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number one. I happen to see Simone Biles. Do you know who she is? She's a American Olympian gymnast.
Gymnast, yep.
She came up with a new challenge to do online, and I want to challenge us to do it.
Oh, cool.
We'll post the videos onto our Instagram and Twitter, Untranslatable Podcast. What she does is she gets into a handstand, and then once she's in a handstand, she has on sweatpants, and she removes her sweatpants while upside down in the handstand.
How? How is that even possible?
Well, I mean, I'll show you. I'm not just going to make you do it and not show you how to do it. Well, essentially what she does is she just shimmies out of it, though. Spoiler alert. She just literally pulls at it with her toes while she's in the handstand. Now, I would do this challenge, but it would be irresponsible to clog up the health systems with my stupidity when I inevitably immediately try to go for the handstand and fall backwards onto the coffee table behind me. So I probably won't do that. But you can see Simone Biles do that on Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number one. You can also, please, give us 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. We love to see them. I love to see them. Chad doesn't see anything, but he loves to know that it happens. Bless you. Now, that was a sneeze, everyone. Relax.
It's allergy season, Jared.
It is. It's really annoying. I wanted to ask you, how have you been doing on the 14-day challenge? I'd say we're coming up on day 13 or 14. I just made that number up. I have no idea. How did you do on the 14-day challenge?
Doing pretty well. I've been trying to reach out.
Oh, you're still going?
Oh, yeah. Been trying to reach out to a lot of different people on a daily basis. Hoping to reach out to a buddy of mine today, later today. I think he'll be my 16th person, somewhere around there. Not that I've been counting or anything, but, just, Jared, I gotta say, we are spoiled. Right, that's right. These are very meaningful conversations, Jared. These aren't just notches in my, hey, did you talk to a person today belt? But no, it's been good. It's been nice to reconnect with some people. Have been in touch with a few musician buddies of mine, which has been great. In touch with a couple people from grad school as well. A couple students from the Czech Republic. A couple people back in China as well. They're healthy and doing well, which is obviously a delight for me to hear. And Jared, I have gotten a slight update about my belongings that are still in Jinan, China. So that's pretty cool. That's good
They're
news.
Still there.
They are still there. They're still in my apartment.
No one's done anything. But someone's going to live in this apartment eventually. I'm sure there's not a lot of moving happening right now.
Right.
But eventually they have to do something with the stuff in there because I assume this is not just going to turn into a ghost apartment now.
Right. So here's the thing, Jared. So I found out that they will be packing and shipping my stuff up once the university reopens. What that means is when the university reopens for in-person classes, which could be this summer. I'm not 100% sure yet. So it'll be a while until I get my stuff back. But I think I will be able to get back some of my more important belongings. Like I have a suit over there, some sentimental stuff, some jewelry, like a watch my mom bought me, necklace my girlfriend bought me, all that good stuff.
Ring. Chad
Pinky
usually
ring.
never leaves the house without his pinky ring. It's been a trying time for him. It's
been
pinky's
tough.
been light.
It's been very tough. That's right. Exactly. So that's good, and it was a pleasure to get in contact with a couple of my friends back at Shandong Normal University in Jinan, which was great. Excuse me. So yeah, life is good though, Jared. Life is good. What's new with you?
Sounds like it over there, Chad. Sounds like it. What's new with me? They came out with a new episode of The Tiger King. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to.
Okay.
I've been doing exercise. Nothing's new with me. I did the 14-day challenge.
Are you still doing Insanity?
Yeah, I did it earlier today, right before we recorded this podcast.
Nice.
It was plyometrics and cardio.
Oh, there you
go. And now on day 6, I believe it is. I just finished day 6 earlier today. I no longer feel like my legs are going to fall off every time I walk.
That's great news.
So that's fun. I'd consider that progress. And I've been playing piano.
Sure. Nice.
Slowly getting back into it.
You gonna play me a little ditty later?
No, my ability to read music is shot a little bit. I've noticed, but I'm coming back. No one can hold me down.
That's right.
Yeah. But no, other than that, it's been pretty boring. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
I'm ready to do something with my life.
That's fair. I don't blame you. I have some exciting news for you, Jared, and for our listeners out there. I have decided to pick up a new hobby. And this hobby is already related to one of my biggest hobbies, which I think you can figure out pretty easily, Jared.
Guitar.
Yes, it is guitar related. What do you think my new hobby might be?
Playing something that has to do with playing a new song.
No. I have decided I want to learn more about how to build and set up guitars. So, I have bought, my budget is $350. I am going to buy a cheap guitar and buy a couple different things to upgrade it and kind of learn how to install new stuff on it and change it. So if you'll humor me for just a moment, Jared, let me go grab a guitar.
Please.
And then I'm going to explain to you a couple things. So you keep our listeners busy, Jared. I'll be back in just a second. Should have been more prepared and had this ready beforehand. But that's life, Jared.
For all of you, imagine how great and prolific this podcast would be if Chad put, I don't know, 1/68th of the effort he puts into his guitars that he put into the Untranslatable podcast. Just remember, he doesn't love you. I love you all. And,
what are you saying, Jared?
So
you talking some smack, Jared?
I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see this. See what you got over here.
So now I just have my old, for our viewers on YouTube right now, I just have my old Fender Stratocaster from high school, which is like a Olympic white finish, which is like the same color Hendrix used back in the day. So anyways, I'm going to buy a couple things, not for this guitar, but a cheaper one. I want to go with a cheap one, so if I mess it up, it's not a huge deal.
Sure.
So I'm going to change these out. I'm going to change out the hardware in the guitar and the pickups, which really alter the sound. So that's one upgrade you can make on any cheap guitar to make it sound better.
Behind the pickups, is there some sort of... Is it just like those metal things where those metal things in the middle that the strings go through, do those just touch another metal thing under that, or is it some sort of plug-related thing?
So those are wired into the output jack, which then you plug in the cable and it takes the sound to the amp.
What level of wiring do you have? Are you connecting wires? You're not soldering, are you?
It's a basic soldering job. You just it's a basic soldering job. I haven't, so I'm gonna have to learn how to do it. But that'll be fun. So I'm gonna have to solder. Yourself. I'm gonna try not to. solder pickups. What I'm going to do though for my first one, just because I'm not I've never done this before, I'm actually going to cheat a little bit, and I'm buying a pre-wired pickup set, which means I don't have to do the wiring, because I figure right now I need to figure out how to solder first before figuring out how to wire everything too. So I figure baby steps. So
you think you should forget the cheap? Solder is spelled solder.
Yeah.
Did not
It's
know
weird,
that.
isn't it? Yeah.
Anyway,
it is weird.
So it's like you have the cheap guitar to learn the modifying, but you need something even cheaper, like just some useless wires but before you get into the soldering game, which is probably smart. Although it always looks like so much fun.
Right. So that's one thing. I'm going to make some upgrades to what they call the tuning machines, which are on the headstock of the guitar, which is like the side away from where you pluck it, and closer to it's further on the left if you're a right-handed player, further to the right if you're a left-handed player. So I'm going to change out the tuners as well, Jared, which will provide a little bit more stability. You don't want your guitar to go out of tune while you're playing it. So I'm going to make a couple modifications. I know you do. It's Jared's the one who taught me that valuable lesson. But anyway, so as I said, my budget's about $350 US. I will tell you, Jared, I bought the guitar for $100. So that was a little less than a third of my cost. The guitar is a beautiful blue sunburst finish, which means to paint a picture for our listeners, it's darker, still a light blue on the outside, and then it gets lighter and lighter and lighter to the center of the guitar. So it has a nice kind of fade look to it, which is pretty cool.
I see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm super excited. I should be getting the guitar hopefully next week, and then gonna start toying with it and tinkering with it.
Did you always want to do this, or has it just like, oh, now that I have some time, I might as well?
I've always wanted pick
up a new hobby.
Well, what I've always wanted to do is build a guitar from scratch, but obviously that takes a ton more tools, a lot more time, a lot more money.
Right.
I just don't have that much money to like buy all that equipment and try to do that. But yes, some of it is I do have more time right now. One, because I am teaching online, and you have a lot of flexibility with your hours with online teaching, which we can talk a little bit about later. But yeah, that's the thing. I've been trying to really immerse myself back into playing guitar every day, different styles of music every day. And I thought, why not learn more about the inner workings of the instrument? So there you go, Jared. New hobby.
That's good. And learning to fix stuff is very satisfying. Like when
definitely.
I used to bike a lot, I started like fixing stuff myself, and it's like, oh my God, this is actually better.
Super cool.
It works better.
Yep. Yeah.
I can't believe I did that.
See, and
but
that's
then I also
the reason.
Have times where I'm like, oh, I really messed this up.
Right. And see, that's the reason though why I want to make these modifications, is so I can learn how to do this on some of my nicer, higher end guitars without actually damaging them or having them lose any value. But you're right; it's totally satisfying. I mean, I think of even something as minuscule as changing the strings on my guitar. It's also incredibly satisfying when you string it up, you clean the guitar, and it's ready to go. There's just nothing better. So yeah, speaking of positivity, Jared, I think you know what we should be doing.
Spread a little love.
That's right.
I do.
And my shout out today goes out to a group of high schoolers from Calgary, Canada, who have launched a free positive message hotline for seniors who are stuck in isolation. So this project, Jared, is called the Joy 4, number 4. Joy for All project offers a free telephone line and a friendly voice on the other hand to help lift spirits in what may be a lonely time during the COVID-19 pandemic. The hotline, available by calling 1-877-JOY-FOR-ALL, offers pre-recorded jokes, stories, motivational passages, and poems. It launched on Friday. The project is run by students in the Recreational Leadership Program by Ever Active Schools, an offsite course for Calgary Board of Education students. I think this is great, Jared, because there are a lot of people, a lot of elderly people especially, who haven't been able to see their loved ones, may not have a ton of loved ones in general. I think this is just an awesome idea, and it's a very heartwarming story.
Yeah. Is it specifically targeted for older people? Like,
yes.
If I were to listen to it?
I don't know.
Like, how old are you?
I don't know. You could call the number and try.
Like, get out of here.
You can call the number and try and
that's
find
true.
out.
That's true. I'm on the website. I see the number right in front of me.
I wonder if that would work, though, with a U.S. number, if you could call. Are you going to get crazy charges? Charges up the wazoo?
They have a toll-free number, an 877 number. So I think they thought about that.
Oh, good.
It's 403. Oh, so that number, that's a Canadian number?
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. I just saw it. Just look. I'm not going to call right now. Maybe I'll check back in. Oh, yeah, that's Alberta. Maybe I'll check back in. No one wants to hear me call someone.
Right. Still, I think it's awesome. So we send lots of love to all of the students and people in the recreational leadership program by Ever Active Schools, which is super awesome. So that's great.
Yeah.
You know what else is great, though, Jared? Are some
the
untranslatables. That's right. Got the untranslatable owl going, and untranslatables, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, are idioms, sayings, slang, proverbs that don't really translate into English perfectly on a one-to-one basis. So we try to kind of figure out, decipher these untranslatables for you and for your listening and entertainment pleasure. So I'm going to get it started, Jared. And my first one for you is Tagalog, which is spoken in the Philippines. And it is ang tigas ng ulo mo, which means your head is so hard.
Your head is so. Is it just like is it the same as the English? You're hard-headed. You're very stubborn.
Yep, you're stubborn. Okay. Exactly.
My first one is Italian, and it's saltare I fossi per il lungo.
That sounded great, Jared.
Thank you. Jump ditches the long way.
Is this like jump ditches the long way? Is this like doing something the wrong way? Taking longer than you need to do something?
No.
Okay.
No, I obviously understand why you would think that, but it's more jumping the ditch the long way is very difficult.
Oh, but so it's something that requires a lot of effort.
But you do it with ease. Doing something difficult with ease.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
It's like, shit, I can jump this ditch the long way like it's nothing. You're trying to get me to step across it? I'll jump this thing a long ways with my eyes closed and hands tied behind my back.
That's funny. Okay. Nice. My next one for you...
And then he does it and then he falls in and we're like, oh, good.
My next one for you, Jared, is Ukrainian.
Anyway.
Okay, and it is... Skazat... Yeah, this is a tough one. Skazaf jak v vochki Viernov, I believe, and it means to, I guess basically means to fart in a barrel, or farting into an empty barrel.
Oh, is this like you're speaking but no one's paying attention to you, or you're like screaming but no one can hear you?
Very good.
Just farting into a barrel for no one.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now my next one's German, which is always risky. It could have been done before. We'll see. Auf einem Bein steht man nicht gut. There's no standing on one leg. Ha, das pulled the Chad.
Auf einem Bein steht man nicht gut. Und Jared, das bedeutet, dass man...
Have you heard this before?
Sorry, I know what it means. I'm pretty sure I do. It means that you need to loosen up. You can't party if you just have one drink. You got to loosen up a little bit.
Oh wow, yeah, jeez,
right?
Yeah.
I would. You know what we should do, Jared?
First, when you said you need to loosen up, I was like, well, he's kind of got it, but not really. Then you said you need it. It literally you need at least 2 drinks to have a good time, and I was like, damn. That's it. You got it.
I couldn't just blatantly say it, Jared. I gotta lead up to it. One thing I would like to do, learning. Jared, at some point is maybe in a couple episodes, have you quiz me on German idioms and see, we can quiz each other and see how many we can get. That might be kind of fun. A little friendly competition is always good.
Yeah, that's a real fair competition.
You're German. You don't give yourself enough credit. You really don't. And my German is incredibly rusty. I had an interview in German a week and a half ago, and it was not.
And they laughed at you.
It was not smooth. Yeah, they were like, "Oh, we better not hire this guy. His German's terrible." No.
Yeah, you're supposed to be teaching the language to other people.
Right.
So.
Right. All right, Jared. My last one for you is I don't know if you'd call this Tagalog or English or or Finglish, Filipino English. I don't know what you'd call this, but this one is Sus Mariosep, and it means well, Jared, can you have any idea of what Sus Mariosep is a combination of?
Suspect, suspicious.
Nope. Jesus, Maria, and Joseph.
So
it's a short form of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, which is
it's like how we say, like, oh no, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. This is terrible.
Right. Yeah. But I like that it's all smashed together. Sus Mariosep.
Yeah, I think they're pretty Christian over there. I bet you some of it is just like to avoid actually saying the it's like, but we all know what you're saying.
Can't be saying the Lord's name in vain, Jared. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's a joke. I mean, Louis C.K. He's not a great person to reference these days, but he has a joke about how people say the N-word, and it's like, well, now you're making me say it. It's like, why don't you just
in my
say
head?
it?
Yeah, right.
That's why I feel with this Sus Mariosep. It's like, oh no, okay, no, I know what you're saying, but now you're putting it on
now
me.
You're making me
That's
think
cool.
it. Yeah, right. Thanks. Yeah, putting the dirty words in my head. Yeah.
I have one more, and it's French, and it's peut-être plus haute que son cool.
Which means?
Cool is what you would think it is. To fart higher than one's arse. Arse.
Arse. To fart higher than one's arse, eh? Let's see here. Is that like when you think your shit don't stink? Like you think you're better than other people? Yeah. All right.
Yeah. To be arrogant.
I hope you can appreciate the fact I used a shit idiom with a fart idiom. I hope you made that connection, Jared.
That's very good. Yeah. I do like that. All right, Chad. How do I become an online teacher? What do I need? I have a computer. Am I done? Am I good to go?
You're done. You can. Yep. You just turn on your computer, and somehow your students will magically come to you. Yeah, it's going to be perfect.
The future is here.
No. Wouldn't that be nice? No. So, all right. So the process of becoming an online teacher, Jared, I would say the first thing that you need to consider is what do you want to teach? Because I think a lot of people nowadays, there's a lot of edupreneurs, which are like educational entrepreneurs online, right? That teach all sorts of different stuff. So I feel like, Jared, if I wanted to learn something from you, if I wanted to pay you money to teach me something, you better believe, for me, it's going to be something car related. Because you know more about cars than most of the friends that I know. I think the only buddy of mine that's probably up there with you might be my buddy Ryan. Because he also works in the car industry, his father has a company that's a, car company, all sorts of different stuff. But anyway, so that's the first thing is figure out what you want to teach. Because there are certain platforms like OutSchool, which Jared also sent me a link to OutSchool, but I started applying for it the day before you sent me the link. Or I guess great minds think alike. And the cool thing about OutSchool,
Sydney.
the cool thing about OutSchool is you can teach us any subjects you want. Like, it's not like if you apply for an English teaching job online, where usually if you apply through a company like VipKid or GoGoKid, Data ABC, there's tons and tons of different online ESL English companies. They'll have like a set curriculum that you have to use. Now, that's good and bad. It's good because you don't have to waste time prepping for classes by making the content, right? You don't have to make the PowerPoints. You don't have to come up with the games, stuff like that, right? Now, it might be helpful to have some previous teaching experience or go on YouTube and watch some people teach to know how to interact with these different learner management systems. But, go ahead.
Does the pre-made stuff usually suck? Like, is it boring? Is it?
It really depends on the company, because I can tell you, Jared, I've interviewed with over I think 5 or 6 different online ESL companies, and a lot of them they make you do a demo lesson. So they send you like a short sample PowerPoint, so you kind of get a a rough idea of what the materials is like. Some companies are definitely better than others. That's for sure. But the nice thing is there are platforms like OutSchool, Skillshare, Udemy that you create the courses yourself. Now, the nice thing about that is you have more freedom, but that also takes more time and more creative energy. So if you are a creative person and you enjoy doing those things, it's a great option. But if you think, I just want to show up and teach and be done, then I would suggest really looking for a company that already has the curriculum set up, so you don't have to take time to do that.
Mm-hmm. Is that what you have now?
Well, I have a little mixture of both, actually. So I have some private clients right now, only a few of them, and I make all the lesson plans for those. I kind of have like a skeleton that I follow. I will tell you though, Jared, I don't spend any longer than half an hour per student on prep time, just because I think it's not worth the time and the effort. I think I can come up with a decent lesson plan in half an hour.
Would it be immoral, unethical? That's what I'm looking for. Moral might be a little too much.
Right.
Unethical to use the pre-made curriculum to teach the students that aren't through that program. You're like, well, I already got a curriculum that works. They'll never know. It's just teaching.
Right. That's a great question, Jared. I would say
probably it seems.
I would
unethical.
say, theoretically speaking, I think you're not supposed to use it because it's copyrighted material.
Right, you're stealing personal or not.
However, aren't there also laws on copyrighted materials can be used for educational purposes? So I wonder if that would be the loophole. Now, I will tell you, Jared, I do that.
I wouldn't be willing to take it to court. That's all I'm saying.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't either. And it probably wouldn't even get that far. You'd probably just get fired if the place found out. But I will tell you the reason why that probably doesn't work is most places, the PowerPoint is somewhere online that you like log on to a classroom. So I don't think there's I don't think there's a way where you can like download the materials.
They don't send you the PowerPoint.
Right, exactly.
It's all through like a program or whatever.
Exactly. So yeah, and the other thing is too is like it would be very obvious. Like if you were a private teacher and then you were like showing your students these materials, it'd be really obvious. Now, I will tell you though, what a smart teacher would do is they would remember what worked in their classes where the curriculum is preset and try to transfer that over and put their own spin on it. So I think that's a smart tip and smart strategy, but I wouldn't, me personally, I wouldn't use the pre-made stuff. Now, I will tell you, Jared, one of the negative things, though, and I've experienced this firsthand, I guess there's really two negative things about online teaching. Number one is the onboarding process can be a bit time-consuming, depending on the company. A lot of times they will only give you 3 or 4 days to complete all of the like onboarding, like training and stuff you have to do. So you have to make sure you have time to do that. And then also, depending on the company, if there are kind of different types of online companies, either their parents see your profile and they select you, and the company I'm working for right now, that's how it works. But I will tell you, Jared, I haven't had any bookings yet.
Is there a picture of you?
Is
there a picture of you?
Yep, there's a picture of me and a short description and all that stuff. Mm-hmm.
Wait, hold on. You said you haven't had any bookings yet?
No bookings yet. Not through the...
Do you think it's because your face?
It's definitely because of my face. My ugly, ugly face. No one wants to learn from me.
How long have you been up there?
2 weeks. But I've heard from other people through this company. I won't say their name. So far, though, it's been a great company. But from what I've heard is that because of the pandemic, they've been having like trouble having new bookings come in. Stuff like that. I've heard from quite a few other teachers through this company that they've been on for a few weeks. I talked to a few of my friends yesterday, actually, that were fellows with me in China, and they were teaching English online before they came to China. And they kind of said the same thing, is sometimes if it's the parents who select you, sometimes it will take a few months to get steady students coming in. So if you're really strapped for cash and you really are, thinking, well, this is a way I want to make money, I would suggest looking for companies that the companies just assign you the students. So the parents aren't the ones...
that seems way better. Mm-hmm. Because what if you just never get picked And then I'm sure there's got to be some people that are like the online teaching hotshots where it's like, please, parents, I can only teach so many kids.
Right.
Meanwhile, you're over here like, hey, I can take one.
Right. Well, see, and Jared, that's why I'm actually looking into other forms of online teaching, which is why I wanted to do this episode, actually, because, like I said, I've applied to quite a few different places. The majority of the online English teaching market right now is to kids abroad, usually in China. There are some companies in Japan and in South Korea as well. There is one I saw that was actually marketed towards students in South America as well. But most of those are kids, middle school and high school age students. So usually up to like 16, 17 years old and as young as like 4, 5, and 6. And so
4-year-olds pay attention to you?
Well, I haven't taught any 4-year-olds yet online, but I would imagine it's difficult. But that's the thing, Jared, is I'm actually hoping to find another job through a different company. So I want to have one company that, because I kind of want to see how this goes. I want to have one company that I'm working for where the parents choose. I want to work for another company a couple of other days of the week where the company chooses your students for you. So it's not the parents, but and I'm curious to see how that will work in terms of how long it will take for my schedule to get filled, all my bookings and stuff, because I'm definitely right now under my goals right now of what I'm hoping to make right now teaching online. That is for sure, Jared.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. What's the like widest variety of stuff that they require you to have, like as far as technology? So, I imagine. I mean, no matter what, you have to have a computer, or else they're gonna see you.
Yep.
Does anyone require a specific webcam?
Well, so they do a webcam test, and every company has different parameters, but most, if you've bought your laptop within the last couple of years, it should be fine. Most of it's also based on download speeds, upload speeds, download speeds, and there's something else too. I think it's called, is it ping? Is that what it's called?
That sounds like something internet related.
Right. So basically a lot of these places have like a tech check that you do before the lesson. So maybe you go on the online portal.
Before every lesson.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the company. But yeah, a lot of them do it for every lesson. So the reason why you do this is if there's a problem, you can quickly diagnose it before the lesson begins. Because the tricky thing about teaching online, Jared, is you are as good or as bad as the technology that you're using. So if you have terrible internet connection and you're freezing all the time and you're pixelated and there's lag, the lessons are going to reflect that. Nothing can make
that a good. Yeah, nothing can make that good.
Right. It's hard enough learning a foreign language or any other subject really by a teacher. That's difficult on its own, and then you add the difficulty of, the internet's not working great. So I think that's why a lot of these companies have this. There's a lot of online English teaching companies that will highly suggest you use and plug your laptop directly in or computer directly into using an Ethernet cable directly into the router or modem, which also makes sense. If you're using Wi-Fi, especially if you're at home and you have a few other people living with you, the Wi-Fi could be slower. There's all sorts of stuff. But some other equipment you might need, Jared. So obviously a laptop or a desktop, some type of a computer with a webcam. The other thing you need, I'm looking for it, I don't have it near me, is a headset. And what I mean by headset is headphones, usually over-the-ear headphones with a microphone that's attached. And the reason for this is if there's background noise and other things happening, you're very aware of this, Jared, as someone who, does such an awesome job editing and producing our podcast, that if you are just talking into a laptop, there's going to be all sorts of background noise, right? If your neighbor's dog is barking, they're going to hear it. If your washing machine's
even
going in the next room, right? Exactly. So headset. Some companies like you to have a webcam, but it's not always. I haven't seen it been like a requirement to go out and buy one. But the other thing I would mention, Jared, is it's good to have. And we've talked about this on the podcast before, but some props, right? So I have these goofy puppets.
Why do you have those? When did you get those?
I got these about 2 weeks ago. And the reason why I got these like little hand puppets is so you can model. And so modeling, Jared, just means that, so say we're doing an English class where we want our students to talk about what they did yesterday. So they need to use past tense, right? So I'm holding this goofy little hand puppet. We'll just call him Bobby. Why not? He looks like a Bobby. So I'd say, Bobby, what did you do
like
yesterday?
A young Bob the Builder.
He does, doesn't he? And so I ask Bobby, I say, so Bobby, what did you do yesterday? And then Bobby says, well, I went to the store yesterday, and then I, whatever. And so, use whatever voices you want or don't.
So you give him a voice. You give him a voice.
That's right. Yeah. And so you use that to model. And so that helps them see and hear.
I wish we could get this level of showmanship on the podcast every now and again.
You want some puppets? Is that what you're asking me? You want puppets?
Voices. A lot.
Another thing I would suggest too, Jared, are, and there are tons of these if you go on Amazon or just online, cards with English on them. Usually they're for young kids, but
like
I use them.
Cards,
Yeah, but I use them with teenagers. And I'm showing Jared for all of our listeners watching on YouTube. You can see it, but for those of you who don't, these are actually by Play School, and these are numbers flashcards. So there's like the letter 6. It's spelled out SIX, and then you have oranges. And so I would say any type of physical props you can get that aren't too expensive, I think is great. I think for the cards and the puppets, I think I spent like $20. So not too expensive. Things like that. I mean, you can get creative. That's the thing, is that the beauty of teaching online, especially if you do it yourself, you can teach however you want. I've played hangman with my students. I've played tic-tac-toe with my students. I think another must-have for
How do you do that? How do you do that?
Yes, and that's what I'm bringing up. So I think another must-have for teaching online is a small whiteboard. A small whiteboard you can write on and erase.
So that makes them point it out. So you can't do like some sort of shared screen situation.
You can. I just sometimes don't do that because I've had some issues with my students with lag, internet lag. So I'm sitting there waiting for what seems like forever because their screens haven't updated with, whatever. So that's why I try to not use a ton of stuff online because you're already sharing video. And you're already doing a lot of things online anyways.
Keep it OS. Old school, baby.
That's right. But yeah, and there's a lot of opportunities for online teaching, Jared. OutSchool is one place that I think is worth looking into. However, it's worth mentioning because we have listeners from many different countries. I believe at OutSchool you have to be a citizen of Canada, UK, US, and maybe also Australia and New Zealand. Because of, I think, tax purposes and other stuff. And I think you have to be residing or living in one of those countries as well. But yeah, there's a ton of them. And there's a lot of them for kids. VipKid is a big one. GoGo Kid, Dada ABC, Zebra English. There's tons and tons of these companies. The majority of them are in China, and you will be teaching Chinese children. But I can tell you, Jared, that I've worked with Chinese kids before, and they are a pleasure to work with. They're usually very well behaved, and classes are a lot of fun.
Do you think you would consider starting your own online teaching company? Chat online or something. That's not bad.
That's actually pretty good. That's actually really good. I have.
I'll take 5% of all earnings from here on out.
I've had a couple crazy ideas. Maybe it's the quarantine doing this to my brain because I haven't left the house for God knows how long. But I've been thinking about because I already have a few private students. And the beauty of the internet is you can find more private students. I do like the idea of that, but the tricky thing with that is there's a ton of work up front. So you don't really see a return on your quote unquote investment until much, much later if you can get a lot of students coming in.
What kind of work?
Like preparing the lesson plans, making a website. If you're going full-fledged online business. Right now, for me, it's just a few private students through some connections I have. And then I just create the PowerPoints and the lessons. So it's not like there's a website. One thing, though, that I have been doing some research on that I think is a great idea is a lot of people offer package deals or courses that are like a package. So you pay, $20 or $40 or whatever the package costs, and then you get that content. But once again, that's a lot of work right up front.
Right.
But there's a lot of opportunity out there now. And I think a lot of people, I think many people are apprehensive about trying to teach online, Jared, because they think, well, I'm not an expert, or I'm not, good at this or good at that or whatever. But here's the thing. In order for you to be kind of an expert, you just need to know a little bit more than your students. Obviously, it helps if you know a lot more.
In relation to.
Right. Exactly. So that's why I've been thinking a lot about doing something guitar related. Just because, I've been playing guitar for a really long time. I used to teach guitar when I was a teenager, and I stopped teaching once I was in college. And I've just been thinking about that a lot too, just because. But the tricky thing is about English teaching or music or guitar, the market, I would say, is pretty saturated. So if you're doing it independently, you got to find a way to stand out and get students. And that can be the tricky part.
You got to have, much like Sean T invented his own insanity workout, where he even though they're not necessarily specifically his style workouts, like he puts his own jazz on them, names them himself. A lot of that takes a lot of work, and then the hardest part isn't actually making it, although that is hard, but then proving to people that your system
works,
is somehow better than what one of these big companies can do.
Right.
And I've had some business ideas, never anything that's gone anywhere. But the challenge is always like, what am I bringing to the table that someone else can't?
Exactly. I think a lot of this too goes into asking, what do people actually want to learn? I've had a lot of ideas. English stuff. Actually, I've had less ideas for, just because maybe I'm hypersensitive to this as an English teacher, because I have done so much searching for materials and I can find almost everything I need. I think, well, why should I go in the business of that? Because what am I going to add to the table that's different, right? But the thing I was thinking about for guitar is that there's tons of basic videos, how to play an E chord or this scale on guitar, right? But I think there's a lot of cool stuff guitar related that you can find on some YouTube channels, but there's other stuff that, that I've kind of figured out through years of just kind of messing around on guitar and fiddling with it, that might be interesting for people. So the question you have to ask yourself is really what can you teach them that's different, but also how does that mesh with what do they want to learn, right? Because if they have no interest in, blues music, you're not going to, try to sell a package that's like become a great blues guitar player. That makes no sense, right? So you have to somehow mesh your skills and experience and your knowledge with what you perceive or what your audience wants to learn. And that can be difficult too.
Okay. Do you have anything? I don't have anything to say. If you want to, unless you do. You're like, stop, and I'm like, oh.
I guess my last thing about teaching online is that I think it's great because it offers you a lot of flexibility. And I think there are also a lot of lessons for you to learn as the teacher. I can tell you right now, Jared, just from even teaching a few private students, there have been some learning curves. There have been a few times where my screen sharing wasn't working on Skype. And so I had to kind of think quickly on my feet and kind of reimagine our lesson from scratch, So there's a lot of things you can learn from teaching online. I think if you enjoy preparing materials and being creative, it's a great opportunity for you and can be a lot of fun. And you can make a lot of money if you get enough students and also charge a fair rate, I would say.
Do you give homework?
I do. The homework I give is to try to prepare my students for the next class so we can have a conversation, have a discussion.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Do you ever give homework that involves music?
I should. I don't, but I should. I used to when I was teaching university classes. I haven't.
I remember you told me that you had your students like bring in a song and tell you about why it's their favorite song or whatever.
I might have to do that with my students. That would be a lot of fun. It'd be cool to hear them hear what kind of music they like.
I wonder if it'll be a little harder with like young kids.
It might be, yeah. And I don't think music has the same meaning in their lives when they're
to them.
super young.
Yeah. I don't know. It makes me clap along.
Right. It's crazy how there's that big shift from when you're a teenager, and how music has so much more meaning once you become a teenager and an adult and everything else. But yeah,
and it's interesting too because that even happens with songs that I like both as a kid and as a adult. But it's like it's like, oh my god, I've been listening to the song for 10 years and I'm just starting to realize what the lyrics are on this song.
No kidding. Yeah, I remember when I got
that's
older.
What they say.
Right, totally. I remember as I got older. I had been listening to Eminem since like 4th grade, so that's 11 years old.
That's a great example.
And I could rap along with a lot of his early stuff. And so I knew the words, but I didn't really know what they meant. And then as I got older, I was like, holy crap, this stuff is like pretty violent or pretty
aggressive.
Right. Exactly. Well, Jared, what's not aggressive, though, is our song on the pod today.
This song is not aggressive, no.
Which is called Starlight by an artist named Darren Espanto. And it's an uplifting, upbeat kind of tune, isn't it, Jared?
It is. It reminds me of something that we would dance to at mock rock. You never did mock rock. You never participated in those dance-related things at school.
I didn't.
If it's too hard for Chad and too scary, that's a hard no.
That is
like
a hard
mock
no.
rock or Anchor Splash.
Yep. Good times.
But anyway, the reason mock rock, by the way, I love is like this dance competition that we do at our college between fraternities and sororities. But it has like a very college party vibe to me, with the way the beat, like kids love a beat drop.
Right.
This song's got a beat drop or two. Kids love a cute face with a good singing voice. Darren Espanto's got a cute face with a good singing voice.
Oh, for sure.
It just sounds very like I could imagine listening to this at a college party.
Oh, for sure. It's very poppy.
People get all excited for a beat drop.
Right.
Who doesn't love a beat drop?
You can't go wrong with a good beat drop, Jared. That's for sure. So yeah, and I believe Darren Espanto is from the Philippines, if I remember correctly. The music video is
Canadian
pretty cool.
and Filipino, both.
There we go. Thank you. Appreciate it. But it's a great song. It'll definitely put you in a good mood. So if you're feeling a little slow, put this on and it'll definitely get your booty off the couch. That's for sure.
For sure.
You bet, Jared. Speaking of, being an online teacher, I think there's a big market for learning languages. And I've been trying to learn Russian slowly but surely. Fingers crossed, I can hopefully still go to Vladivostok come September, but we'll see. But my Russian word for the pod today is uchitel, which is very similar to the Czech word. Do you know what uchitel means, Jared?
Oh, I've heard this before.
Yep.
I know it. Oh, my gosh. Uchitel.
It means... Do you know?
I remember Uchet Prosim is Czech, please. Wasn't it?
Oh, shoot. What? Yeah, what's the word for Czech in Czech? Can you say it again, Jared? What do you think it was?
Uchet Prosim, wasn't it? But there's another version. That wasn't the common way to say it. There was another version that was more common.
Platime prosim is the...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
it's a platime prosim. Yes.
Right. Oh, yeah, uchit.
Anyway.
Uchit, is Czech, yeah. So uchitel is a different word, and it means teacher. It means teacher.
I know
figured
I've heard that word before.
Yep.
I tried my hardest.
There we go. All right, so a quick recap of today's episode. There's definitely a lot of opportunities out there to become an online teacher, whether it's doing your own thing, getting some private clients, or working for a company like VipKid or GoGoKid, Dada ABC, English First. There's tons and tons of companies where you can go. I will say the onboarding process for most of these companies takes at least a week, and depending on the way the company is set up, it could take longer than a month to get steady bookings. So just be aware of that when you are trying to think of your financial goals and everything. When you are trying to plan on how you will make
a week
this
isn't bad, by the way.
Right, a week isn't too bad for onboarding.
I'd say that's probably less than your average.
I would agree.
Maybe not onboarding, but like between getting hired and starting.
Right, but I would say, the money doesn't really come in usually because you're an independent contractor unless you get bookings, you know. So I've made no income from the company I'm working for the last 3 weeks because I haven't had any bookings.
Right.
So keep that in
it's
mind.
Like the Tinder of teaching.
Right. So I'm going to be looking for another place, hopefully, to work. And there are a lot of people that work for 2, sometimes even 3 ESL companies at once, depending on their schedule. So if you are curious about some of these companies and want to hear more about my experience on how to apply for these and what it's like going through the interview process, let us know at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. I'd be happy to help any of you out there looking to get into the online ESL industry. Also, if you have any tips or tricks on what you do as an online teacher, let us know on Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. Check out our Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast, for all sorts of pictures and great stuff. We've been a little bit more relaxed lately with the Insta because we have been stuck at home, but that's life right now. So no on the roadigans for the time being, but hopefully in a few months things will change. So we thank you all.
The stories are still popping, though. Don't listen to Chad.
Yes,
the
they
stories
are. Don't listen
still
to me.
popping. Don't
That's
let
right.
him discourage you from coming.
No, definitely check it out, Untranslatable Podcast. And lastly, if you want some great tunes, especially like our song Starlight by Darren Espanto, check out our YouTube channel, Untranslatable Podcast, and the Song of the Pod playlist. So check that out. So we thank you so much for your support. And as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, dziękujemy, muchas gracias, shisha, and dos vidania.